Hello and welcome to another episode of Home Care Hot Seats. Today I'm joined by Jim Patience, the CEO of connected care platform Anthropos. So could you just tell me a little bit how Anthropos started and why you thought that the social care market needed your technology?
The story goes all the way back to about 2011, where I was the CEO of a company that did high-end IT consulting. And we were hired by a client to review the architecture and the design of a platform that they were building for the smart home. We got involved, we helped redesign the platform and we delivered it. And that company was acquired by British Gas. And the product that we had designed and helped build became Hive, which was one of the foremost IoT platforms around at the time. Don't know what it's like now, but it was one of the leading platforms back in its day. And we got an enormous amount of really good experience in this sort of technology through that particular engagement. And we decided that although we didn't own the Hive platform or the intellectual property, we had all the knowledge that we had gained, and we decided that we would build a platform for ourselves, but we wouldn't try and compete with Hive in the smart home sector. So we looked at where this technology could really make a difference, and we looked across a number of sectors, and healthcare was an obvious place where this technology could make a difference. So we decided that that's what we would do. We would build a new platform and focus it on healthcare. And we used some of our previous clients from the healthcare sector to help us work out what our strategy should be. And it was clear from the discussions with them that the future of care was in the home. That's certainly where most older people wanted to be in any case. And certainly as we talk to a number of potential customers, potential partners, that's the whole purpose of their organization. You have to keep people well, healthy and safe in their own homes for longer. So, so that was the start of it. We then thought about how are we going to build this platform, and we were going to build our own team to do it. When we met this organization down in the West Country, brilliant software engineers who had also been working in this technology for many years, had experience in healthcare. So to cut a long story short, we talked to these, they were like-minded, they really understood how this technology worked. So we decided to merge the company, we took the name of their platform and we formed Anthropos.
Right, okay.
So I guess you could look at it as a startup with a real track record and a history with vast experience in this sort of technology and in healthcare.
And yeah, like you say, a lot of people want to stay in their own homes. Research shows that 90% want to stay at home, so it makes sense that you're targeting the market. Okay, so what's your personal background then?
So look, I'm not going to tell you how many decades I have been involved in the IT sector because it's far too many, and I don't want to share that with you. But my personal background is, like I say, in technology, and I've run a number of technology companies. I formed two, including Anthropos. I formed the consultancy back in 2000 that got involved with the Hive platform. And I got excited. You know, I probably should be retiring at any day now, but I got excited about Anthropos like no other company that I've worked for, because I really do believe that our technology with the right partners can really make a difference to the healthcare system. It kind of gives you a real sense of purpose. And the companies that we have been talking to, the companies that we're already working with, share that purpose. So it's quite an exciting journey that we're on compared to what I've done in the past.
Okay. Speaking of partnerships, when I spoke to Paul, your colleague, this time last year, he was talking about the partnership with Home Instead.
Yeah.
Have you been involved with any of the big care providers and working with them?
So look, Home Instead are our launch client, and we worked very closely with them in a pilot, and we were both learning an enormous amount about how this technology could be used to deliver better care and deliver better care outcomes. And we amended and enhanced our platform as a result of that. So with Home Instead now, we are in the process of rolling out our solution through their 200, 220 local offices. In parallel, we were talking to other organizations who may well be customers or partners. So having signed up Home Instead, which is one of the leading domiciliary care companies in the world, we've now concluded an agreement with AXA Health Taking Care, who provide a remote monitoring service. So we have developed an offering for them that they take directly to their clients. Now, so that's kept us pretty busy for the last year or so, but we are out in the market talking to other care providers about working with them.
Okay, thank you. Couldn't name any names at all.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but one that we are quite close to at the moment is Unique Senior Care,
Okay,
and we are about to start a trial with Unique Senior Care with a care commissioning group and a local authority and two GP practices, group practices, to look at how our technology can help with the issue of frailty.
right.
So that's
it's
quite an exciting trial.
So it's about integrating various organisations.
Yeah, very challenging. As you know, if you've been involved in the social care, healthcare sector, getting that integration across the different parts and the different players is very challenging.
Okay. Can you explain to me then in simple terms how exactly the platform works?
How the platform works?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try. So look, if you think about a number of layers here, we've got kind of three layers in our platform. There's the device layer. So those are the sensors that we put into the client's home. Now, we don't make those. We're not in the business of making those. We buy the best available sensors in the market to do the job that we're looking to get done. So those sensors are installed in the older person's home. They connect wirelessly to a smart hub that we provide. That hub is then connected to the internet, and it passes the data from the devices via our hub, via the internet, to our intelligent platform that runs in the cloud. The data that we get from the devices, and we will have maybe 10 or 12 devices, depending on the package for the client. We'll have 10 or 12 devices spread around the home. So movement sensors, door sensors, smart plugs, occupancy sensors, and we use Google Home for nudging where we want some action to be taken. So the data, we collect the data from all of those devices about what is happening in the elderly person's home, and we have intelligence running up there. We analyze the data and we provide intelligence about what is happening or what might be happening. That intelligence, so we sift out the intelligence from the massive data that we collect, and we provide exceptions or insights or alerts on a dashboard to the care company, the care provider, but we also provide a summary to the family member. So we provide two sets of insight: alerts which is something that needs to happen immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Are insights where the care provider, the carer can deal with the next time they go and visit the older person, the client.
So
Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. So you're connecting up to multiple sensors in the home.
Yeah.
And that then collects that data and reads it back to the care provider.
Yeah, and it gives us a holistic picture of what is happening in the home.
Okay, so how do you decide which sensors to use? That based on individual need?
So there are a number of packages. So we have a different package for home instead from Taking Care, AXA Health Taking Care, but they use devices from the same set. And we've organized our offering for home instead into three packages. We have a standard package, a hydration and nutrition package, and an activity and movement package. And we decide, depending on the package that the client wants or the client family wants to put in, that determines the devices. So we look to put a movement sensor in every room. We put a door sensor on the front door and the back door. We have smart plugs on the fridge, the kettle and the microwave. We have a sensor on the fridge to tell us that it's been opened or closed. We have an occupancy sensor for the bed, and we have an occupancy sensor for the favorite chair. And that occupancy sensor tells us whether the individual is in the bed or out of the bed, in the chair or out of the chair.
How can those sensors tell if that is movement is specific? So if you're moving in a bed or leaving a bed, for instance.
Oh, that's a good question. So the bed sensor tells us whether the older person is in the bed or has left the bed. Now that's not enough for us to understand what's going on. So we also have a movement sensor in the bedroom, and that will tell us whether there's movement or not. So the bed sensor will tell us somebody has left, the person has left the bed. The movement sensor will tell us that they're moving around the bedroom. We have other sensors then in the other rooms of the house that will tell us whether the older person has actually left the bedroom. So if the older person has left the bed, there is no movement in the bedroom, and there is no movement in any of the other rooms, we think we've got a problem. We call that no movement in a high risk area, and for that we would raise an alert.
Okay, and then the care provider then can decide what to do.
Well, the alert can either go to the care company, care provider, or it can go to a remote emergency response center, and we work with AXA Health Taking Care to provide that service, or it can go to the family member.
So what makes your company different to other assistive technology companies?
So look, we know quite a bit about what's going on in the market, and as I've said already, we're a startup with history, with heritage and a track record in this technology. We've talked to a lot of people out there in the market who have looked at the competition, and we've had studies done on the competition as well. And I think we are a technology company, so although we provide a range of services around our technology, which we can talk a bit about later, I think we've got to set ourselves apart from the competition based upon our technology. And I think there are three things that set us apart from the competition. We have a lot of devices out there in our estate, in the homes of the elderly people. And these are the things that provide the data. So the data is quite important because we make judgment calls based on that data about the health, the well-being, and the safety of the older person. When you think about Hive, it doesn't really matter that much if you can't change your heating remotely up or down. That's not a big deal, really. However, with an elderly person, when it's the well-being of an elderly person, you need to know that the data that you're getting can be trusted. So we have in our platform a lot of what we call instrumentation. We know what a device should be doing, and we are continually checking that every device is doing the right thing and doing it right. So we can actually trust the data that we are using to create the intelligence. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is, look, we had never intended to be in the device business ourselves. There are thousands of companies, even more than that, out there who are brilliant at devising and coming up with new devices and building them. We didn't want to be in that space. We are about the intelligent software. So the developments that are going out there in the devices, we want it to be in a position where we can take advantage of it. So we have, from the beginning, we have designed our platform so that it is very easy for us to add a new device. We can do it quickly, we can do it reliably, and we can do it cost effectively. And we've demonstrated this to Home Instead and to Taking Care throughout our relationship. So that's really important. So if a new device comes along, we can add it to our platform very quickly. If we want to do something different, we can do it very, very quickly. And then I think the third thing, given the many decades that I and some of my colleagues have been in technology, we know what it takes to build a secure and resilient system. And ours is highly secure and highly resilient. We had to pass enormous due diligence tests to be a provider to AXA Health Taking Care. We had to go through all sorts of penetration testing, security testing on our platform and on our technology in the home. So I think those three things set us apart from the competition as far as technology is concerned. Okay. Then I think, we've got a consulting background. So we kind of know, Sarah, what it takes to use technology to change the way that you do business. And our customers and our partners have to change the way that they do business when they embed this technology in their offering. And that's the direction of travel that they're taking. This is going to change the way that we deliver care, and it's going to improve the care outcomes that we get. But it's not just technology sitting on the side. It has to be integrated into other technology that they've got and integrated into their business operations and their business processes. So I think all of those things together, Sarah, kind of set us apart from the opposition, the competition.
Okay. And once it's been embedded into a company's system, how are they then trained? What kind of training do they get to read the data that comes through?
So it's a great sector. This, when I talk about the passion that I have for what Anthropos can do to the healthcare system, we're dealing every day with passionate people who really care about delivering better care for their clients. So the mindset of these people is all about the personal care that they deliver. They're not used to dealing with technology. So we have to help our customer, integrate the technology into their business. So we have to help them and train them in how to message this to the family members and the potential clients. We have to train them in how it gets installed, because the customer themselves take responsibility for the installation process. So we've developed an application that supports the installation process, and then we train them in how to do it, and then we support them in the first few to make sure that the training is stuck. Then the third thing is we help them work out what their business processes should be when they're using this system, how they conduct, how they prepare for the care plan with the intelligence that we're giving them. So we train them in that as well. We train them in what an alert means, we train them in what an insight might mean, and we train them in then how to use the dashboard that we provide. So it's much more than training the user in how to use the system. It's how to make it part and parcel of their everyday conduct of their business.
Okay. Can you give me some examples of what kind of insights you get from the devices?
Yeah, there's quite a, so like I said, there are alerts and there are actionable insights. And this is the set that we do today, but, you know, we're on a journey here, and, you know, we will add new alerts and new insights as our customers ask for these things. And we can touch a little bit on that afterwards. But for the moment, the alerts that we produce, we will identify and let the carer or the response center know if there is no first morning activity. And our system learns the normal behaviors of the client, and we're looking for variations in that to raise alerts or actionable insights. So, you know, if there's no movement around the time that we expect the particular client to be up, we could raise an alert. I've already told you about one, the no movement in the high risk area. So that can be the bedroom, the cloakroom, the bathroom, or whatever. We're looking for, and that could be a sign of a fall. Yeah. So that no movement in a high risk area, or too long in a high risk area. So the too long in the bathroom, for example, would be an alert. Another one is leaving the door open. So we've seen quite a number of occasions where the older person goes to bed and has left the door open. We'll raise that as an alert. And then the final alert for the moment is wandering outside of the house. So in terms of actionable insights, so like I said, we're looking for actionable insights. Don't need to be addressed immediately. They can be dealt with the next time the carer goes to visit the older person. So if we detect increased activity through the night, it is a big issue. I see it with my mama. You know, I check her my app every morning to see what she's been up to, and I say to her, "Morning, mama, do you have a good night's sleep?" "Yes," she says. And then I look at the activity graph, and she's been up all night, wandering around the house, in the kitchen, in the living room, boiling the kettle, using the microwave, all through the night. But they're the worst witnesses in the world. Every morning she says she's had a good night's sleep. But increased activity at night is one. Increased or decreased number of bathroom visits. That could be an indicator of a much more serious problem, dehydration, UTIs, or whatever. It's a very sad insight, this, but we have seen it where the only time that the front door of the client's house is open is when the caterer goes to visit. No other visits. So, you know, we worry there about social isolation. This is where the next one is where we use Google Home to nudge the elderly person. So if the older person has been sitting in the chair for too long, we can trigger a message from Google Home, and it can be recorded in the family member's voice. So, you know, if you were doing it for an elderly relative, you could say, hey, grandma or granda, you've been in the chair for too long. Get up and go and have a wander around the house and have a cup of tea. You've got to be very careful with that, of course, because you don't want to shock them. Yeah, where's that voice coming from? Another obvious one is the room is too hot and too cold. So our movement sensor also measures temperature, and it measures light. So, you know, we'll warn the carer if they're not keeping the house at the right sort of temperature. Fridge not been opened frequently enough. Yeah, so they're not going in to get milk for a cup of tea. They're not going in to get food out of the fridge. And the same with the kettle, and the same with the microwave. So that's the set that we currently have. And, you know, we have a roadmap that we are developing and have developed of new things, new capabilities that we're going to add to the platform.
Really clever. So could you give me an example of how it's made a difference? You told me about all these alerts that you get. Can you tell me how it's made a difference specifically to someone's life?
Yeah, a difference to some. I think it's quite easy to make a difference to an older person's life, but these are not huge life-changing things that we're coming up with. They're coming up with little things that could become real problems for people. There was one lady who went to bed regularly at the same time, 10 o'clock, and she always slept through the night. And we then began to notice that, having gone to bed at the usual time, she was getting up about 15 minutes later and going downstairs and sitting on her chair all night and sleeping on the chair. And we observed this for a few days, and then we raised an insight to the care provider, the caregiver, and they went and checked with the lady very discreetly, and they said, look, it appears that you are spending an awful lot of time through the night sitting in your chair. And this poor lady, and it's typical of that age group. Oh, I didn't want to be a bother, but I've got a really, really sore back, and I'm more comfortable in the chair than I am in my bed. Now, without the information from the system, the carer would never have known about that and would never have been able to get the poor lady treated and get her back into her bed, getting a good night's sleep again. So that's one example. But there are other examples. 2 days after putting our system in for a particular client, we discovered that she wasn't drinking enough or drinking regularly, and she was wandering around during the night. And in letting the carer and the care provider know this, just 2 days after we installed it, they changed the care plan so that whenever the carer went there, they left a flask of tea for her, and then they could monitor how often she was having a cup of tea. And they then also asked the neighbours to, because she was in a assisted living facility where she had her own apartment but a communal dining area. So they asked the folks who provided the meals to just check that she was drinking sufficient when she was having her meal. Now, this lady had a history of UTIs, and with those very simple changes, we reduced the repeated UTIs that this poor lady was having.
So speaking of COVID, what kind of impact has that had on Anthropos?
Well, I tell everybody when they ask me that, it's been a double-edged sword. Yeah. So March, this time last year, this time last year I came home from a skiing holiday, 9th of March, and 2 weeks later we were in lockdown. So it's almost a year. A year ago we were working with Home Instead to plan our rollout of our technology. It's called Home Aware. They branded it Home Aware at Home Instead. And we went into lockdown, and quite rightly so, Home Instead said, look, we have the most vulnerable people in society as our customers. We have to protect our staff who will have to work from home. We have to look after our caregivers who are going to be going to visit. Jim, we don't have the capacity to move forward with this at the moment. And we understood completely. It made sense. They had to stabilize their business in the middle of a pandemic. And it was similar with Taking Care. We were developing a new product with them, and they ran emergency response centers. They were quickly having to shift their operations to working from home, and they said, look, we're going to have to delay the launch of the new product. And I said, once again, I completely understood. They had to stabilize their business. So that held up our forward movement during. We kind of lost most of 2020 in terms of acquiring new clients and new installations. We kept developing our product, and we kept our presence there in the marketplace, so people knew what we were doing and what we were doing. So it held us back. It slowed down our progress in 2020. But on the other hand, it has made people aware, heightened the awareness of people out there for the role that technology can play in looking after, you know, the most vulnerable people in society. And, you know, there's a greater emphasis as well for care at home. So the if I can use the word positive in relation to COVID, the positive impact that it has had for us is it has increased the market for our technology. It's increased the awareness in the general public of the role of technology, and it's increased the awareness in the care providers for what technology can do to improve the care that they're giving and to deliver better care outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me some of the reasons why it's taken specifically the pandemic to make people aware of what technology can do?
Well, Sarah, you've probably been involved in the care sector for some time, and you know it's a fantastic market full of fantastic people, but the whole mindset is about, you know, hours of care, and you know people like Home Instead, they do a fantastic job providing care to their clients, and you know these people they're not used to using technology. So, you know, the local offices of a care provider, they don't know an awful lot about technology. And, you know, nobody will mind me saying that. You know, healthcare traditionally has moved very slowly. Social care has moved very slowly. So, you know, the pandemic sort of put it in front of everybody and showed that changes can be made very quickly. A brilliant example from the pandemic is, you know, GPs doing consultations like you and I are doing this interview now, yeah, using that technology. And they did that, they moved to that in a matter of days, when historically in the healthcare sector, that could have taken years to make that change. So, you know, the pandemic has helped with raising the awareness of what technology can do. No question, absolutely no question.
And now with the end of lockdown in sight, do you think that some companies, people might just go back to normal, or do you think that there'll be more of an appetite for it?
Well, you know, I've kind of forgotten what normal is. Huh?
Me too.
I think for us, and I think in this sector, maybe we'll have a new normal. And you know, as far as our technology is concerned, as far as care at home is concerned, you know, I don't think the risks are going away. You know, we're going to go on living with COVID-19 or other COVIDs for a long time. We're going to have the flu still, and you know there'll be other things that will come along and threaten the most vulnerable in our community. So, you know, I don't think that's going away. You know, I think the awareness of what the tech can do is much more widespread now. And, you know, I hear people and care providers saying, we really do need to use technology more. It needs to be part and parcel of the way that we do business. It needs to be just the way that we deliver care. So I think that mindset change has started. And I don't think we'll go back now. Hey, you would never give up your iPhone now, would you? And go back to an old.
I'm on a Samsung.
I knew if I picked one, I would get caught out. But you wouldn't want to go back to the old sort of mobile phones. So I think we've made progress here during the pandemic, and I don't think we'll go back now.
Okay.
I think people have, the general public has, and the care providers have recognised how technology can help. And I think they see the value as well. The value is seen by the care companies, the care providers, and the family members, the reassurance that the family members get. I see it every day myself. Huh? When I check my app to see how my mama is, you know, I get reassured every day that she's up and about and moving around, albeit through the night mostly. But I know she's okay.
Yeah. Okay. With that demand, then, do you envision more tech companies coming online now?
Well, I think there's a lot of tech companies out there doing something similar to us. and that's encouraging. If we were the only one doing it, I would question whether there's a market. So, the fact that there's 20 or 30 companies out there doing, remote monitoring or whatever they choose to call it, shows that there's a market. And our challenge is stay ahead of them.
Yeah, and with that, to stay ahead, how will your platform or product develop over the next?
So I did mention earlier, Sarah, that we have a roadmap, and what I relayed to you earlier on is what we currently do, which were the most important things that Home Instead and Taking Care wanted. As we bring on new customers, they will have other demands, and we're picking a number of things up from the market, from customers, from potential customers, which we're including in our roadmap. And I've got it in kind of 4 blocks. The first block is monitoring key care concerns. So, what are the things that the care companies or the family members are saying they really want to monitor? And we've got 4 things in there at the moment. We've got to be better at falls, not just identifying that a fall has taken place, but identifying indicators that can suggest that the elderly person might be susceptible to a fall. And a good indicator of that is gait speed. So we can monitor and measure gait speed, which could be a very good indicator that a problem may be lying ahead. Wandering outside of the house, we don't use any wearables at the moment. And a key concern for people is, somebody will wander out of the house at night, although we can identify that that's happened and raise an alert, we don't know where they are. So we're going to look at how we can use geofencing and geo-tracking to monitor the elderly person, older person, when they're out of the house. Hydration worries me personally with my mother. I say to her, "Are you drinking, Mama?" And she says, "Oh yeah, here we go." And the glass is always full. And I say, "But it's full." She said, "Well, I've just filled it." But she's not drinking enough water. And we need to be better at that, because it causes all sorts of problems in the older person, confusion, UTIs, and that. So that's high on our agenda. And then the 4th one is medication management. If someone is on medication, ensuring that they're conforming to the regime.
Right.
So that's the key concerns. We're also looking at the management of longer term conditions. I've mentioned that we're doing a trial just about to start in Warwickshire, and that is focused on frailty. We have some investment in that trial from a care commissioning group and from a local authority, and we're doing it with 2 groups of GPs, like I said, and a care company. That's going to be very interesting. Dementia, of course, is high on everybody's agenda. So can we provide intelligence to better manage older people with dementia? Other things, we do use AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning in our platform, but we're only beginning with that. We haven't got enough data yet, but as we build up our data, we're going to extend the capabilities around that as well. And we're going to integrate better with other technologies that a care provider could be using. And then there's a whole set of operational things that we need to do as we grow. More resilience, more instrumentation as we bring on new devices, making sure that they're doing the right things as well, so we can continue to trust our data.
Okay.
So a full roadmap there, Sarah.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got it all planned out. But in terms of the tracking people when they go outside, how do you envision doing that? Do you think you will incorporate wearables eventually?
Yeah, I think so. And we're looking at a number of wearables at the moment. We have a research and development capability. It's a very small company, but we have some very, very smart software engineers who are keep abreast of what's happening out there in the device space. And we're looking at a couple of wearables. that provide geofencing and geo-tracking.
Mm.
And we are looking for something that, you know, is not a badge of dishonor. It looks like a proper watch. So, you know, it's not a, there should be no reason why people would be reluctant to wear it.
I suppose the danger is that they might go to bed and then take it off, but
Sure.
you can't really prevent that, can you?
Sure. You can, no, you can't. And you know, maybe there are alternatives that you can adopt to deal with that. Older people on wearables, they don't get on very well. They don't get, you know, people may well be wearing an alarm, a pendant, and you know, these things have served us well. You know, they've done a good job. They've provided value, but often, you know, an older person will fall and they'll forget that they have it, or they'll forget what it's for, or they won't be able to press the button or pull the cord. So, you know, we've got to be able to detect it. Pardon?
Oh, they simply just don't want to wear it.
Yeah. So, you know, you've got to, if you're going to have a wearable, you've got to make it look attractive enough that it's not a badge of disability. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think will be the biggest challenges for you going forward, and also what are you looking forward to as well as you grow the business?
Well, look, you know, it's an exciting journey we're on, Sarah, and you know, we're working with some of the leading. So we're working with 2 leaders in their own sectors at the moment, but we're also talking to leading companies who really see the need for adopting this sort of technology and embedding it into the way that they deliver care. So, you know, that's quite exciting. As that unfolds, I think that's got great potential for us. But you know, we're a startup, although we've got a lot of experience and a lot of history. We're a startup, and we're just on the cusp of growing up. So, you know, as we transition to a fully operational business, we'll have the usual set of challenges that any startup will have. You know, we've got a small team, high quality, very talented people, which we're going to have to grow, particularly in the software engineering area. And you know, we need to make sure that we're attracting the right talent to maintain the high quality standards that we've set. We've got to stay. There is competition out there. We've got to stay ahead of the competition. And you know, there are good. I'm not going to mention and give them a plug, but there are some good companies out there who are snapping at our heels. But I think we can stay ahead of them, and we've got to work hard to do that. I've talked a little bit about our roadmap. We have to build the right set of capabilities into our platform. You know, we can't do everything. So what are our customers saying? What is the market saying? You know, what's coming out of the academics? Because, you know, we've got relationships with a number of academics, which are incredibly valuable for us. And, you know, what are our smart people, you know, thinking that we can do with our platform? We've got to balance all of those things in our roadmap and make the right choices. Our very small R&D capability really needs to know what's happening out there in the devices. You know, we can add new devices to monitor new things, to provide new address new care concerns, but we need to stay abreast of the things out there. And I think finally, Sarah, we need the mindset change that has started during COVID. I think we've got to keep working with the care providers out there and keep moving that forward for this sort of technology, because it has such an important role to play in changing the way we deliver care at home.